チョムレソこんにちは。もっと日本を知りたいチャンネルのなりっとです。いつも動画を見てくれてありがとうございます。今回は日本の外国人問題のお話を見ていきたいと思います。もしよかったらグッドボタンとチャンネル登録もお願いします。それでは一緒に見ていきましょう。OK សម្រាប់ប្រជាជនខ្មែរដែលជានិយាយភាសាជប៉ុនសូមអញ្ជើញមើលវីដេអូនេះជាមួយនឹងខ្ញុំ
今回はイギリスの社会問題を取り扱う番組ロータスイーターズからジョスとダンが日本の移民問題や治安と文化破壊の現状を紹介していく動画です。データや映像をもとに日本の外国人問題をイギリス視点で語ります。早速見ていきましょう。翻訳グローバル問題。
This is January of this year, finally embracing immigration. And it's not that the people in Japan wanted it, it's that the international elite have pushed it upon them because they had a problem, which was they've got a lot of debt to GDP, and they've leveraged this problem to impose this upon them, lest potentially even worse consequences.
I mean, there always has been a little bit of immigration to Japan. I mean, normally it's temporary. I mean, I know people who've gone out there and lived and taught for 10 years or so. And apparently it's a bloody wonderful place. I mean, you can just leave your bicycle unlocked outside a major train station and come back days later and it will still be there.
That's called foreshadowing.
Oh, is it?
Ooh, you've presaged something. That's a good setup. Thank you for that. So it's also worth mentioning, in Japan's countryside, century-old firms learn to embrace foreign workers. So they're even trying to get foreign workers in the countryside. This is the New York Times covering this, which should bring alarm bells that they're doing the same thing that's happening in, say, the UK, US, all the other European countries, where they're sort of just circulating third worldists throughout the entirety.
Third worldist, is it?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, well,
who else would it be?
Because I mean, I was kind of hoping it was going to be people from other because Japan is clearly a prime example of a high trust society. So if you bring in other people from another high trust society, if you want to bring in Danes and Swedes or something, I can see that working.
British people, perhaps?
Yeah, but if they go down the Infinity African routes, they're going to get a different outcome.
Somewhat prophetic, yes. That is exactly what's going to happen. And in fact, they're also getting Chinese as well. For many leaving China, it's Japan, not the US, that's the bigger draw. So obviously, you don't need to be a student of history to know that the Chinese and the Japanese tend not to get along very well.
Well, the Chinese have very bad manners. And you should see them eat.
Very messy. What?
And you should see them eat as well. A lot of them don't even close their mouth when they eat. Not the Hong Kongers. I like the Hong Kongers. They're great. But mainland Chinese...
Well, I remember I was looking at... I got offered a university position in China and I humoured it for a little while. And then I read that it's common to find children allowed by their parents to go to the toilet inside simply because they don't know that it's wrong. And I was just like, right, no, gone.
Yes.
Nowhere near. But it's to the point where here are skilled visa holders. So obviously they're not the ones causing lots of problems, but it surpasses 250,000, which is up by 20.8% compared to 6 months ago, which is a massive increase.
So 250,000 skilled, Westerners? I mean, that doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah, well, it doesn't necessarily divulge who they are, but what we can see is here are the number of foreign nationals living in Japan from 2014 to 2023, and you can see a clear trend here that is slowly ramping up to more and more foreigners, and that is the number of residents in the millions. So it's raw numbers.
It's not wildly out of control yet. I mean, it's
not.
Okay, a population, whatever it is, like 90, 100 million?
I think what was it, 125? Off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, we get their total allowance of foreigners in 2 years, and that's their total. So far, it's not so bad.
Yes, but that's only because it's just got started. I'd be very curious to see what 2024 is and whether it's going to be a massive line shooting straight up. So let's see what this has brought them, shall we? So here is a story. 2 African migrants were arrested at a hotel in Tokyo for stealing 34 million yen in cash. And and they say, here's a nice despite statistic for you, despite only being 0.02% of the population, this is the third time a black person has made national news for crime in Japan this year, because these sorts of things do not usually happen.
Is it possible that no matter what the first percentage, the second percentage, they're always 50% of crime? I don't know.
I think those 0.02% would have to be even more industrious than their Western counterparts, to be honest.
Yeah, but the Japanese just don't commit any crime, so...
That is true.
Well, the Asians, when it comes to crime, it's all sort of gambling related and drink related.
It's like financial and...
Yeah.
They're not really the kind of crimes that people take exception to as much. So let's have a look at, say, some of the nightlife here. And you can notice
That's in Japan.
That's Japan. A distinctly American-looking scene here.
It looks like Philadelphia or something.
I know, there's even people
they're
twerking.
on this. Oh, no.
Look at what has happened. Here we go. Loud black women have found Japan.
Oh, no.
Look what you have done, world, to the poor Japanese.
When I think of Japan, I think of those beautiful temples and the cherry blossoms and the tea making ceremonies, and now it's fat women twerking on the street.
It's worth mentioning
with
as well,
fistful of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Here is another statistic here. Here are crimes versus how overrepresented they are, and apparently Africans are 2.57 times overrepresented. And the next best overrepresented are the Chinese and Vietnamese. And then it's South America, North America, Europe, and then finally Oceania at the end.
Right,
underrepresented.
I don't believe those numbers for a start, because...
It should be higher, shouldn't it?
I did a segment a couple of weeks ago on the FBI crime stats with Carl. And in the US, they are 11 times overrepresented.
No, it's similar to
so I can't believe
London as well.
I can't believe they are only 2.5 times overrepresented, but maybe that's true. I don't.
Maybe you need a critical mass, because the funny thing is, in the US, they're about 12 to 14% of the population. It's the same for London, and that's their section, their cross section of the population. In London, 63% of gun crime, about at least over 50% of knife crime. And the same thing for murders in the US. So there is an obvious pattern here. And yes, there's also Kurds as well. Here they are just fighting in the street, surrounded also by other minorities as well. They're just having a wrestle. And there's a big crowd of people watching it. They're all, non-Japanese. And this is just going on a nice, orderly Japanese street, which to my mind seems sacrilegious. And they've had their share of Muslims. Here we are, a bunch of Muslims doing some sort of Muslim ritual through the streets of Japan, in the rain, doing some sort of, self-flagellation thing? I don't know.
I mean, it could be just a bad dance.
No, I think this is one of their religious rituals. I don't know.
Okay.
But there is more. Here they are, parading through the streets, not really respecting Japanese culture. They're not really integrating, are they?
They're not seamlessly fitting into their environment. They're kind of belligerently
taking over.
Yeah.
Almost like they have it everywhere else. They're not willing to integrate because they're culturally dogmatic. They want to impose their culture on other people. That much is entirely obvious. Here is a Kurd just releasing fireworks, or I don't know, a firecracker, a flare, something like that, just on the street for no reason.
When I go to a foreign country, I try and make an effort to
be respectful.
Yes, be respectful and fit in. These folks aren't doing that.
Yes, and on the darker side, so this guy, Pakistani. Yes, there are Pakistanis in Japan now. 25,000 of them in Japan now. He was convicted of sexually assaulting a Japanese schoolgirl on a train.
Yes.
Because, of course, the Pakistanis have earned their worldwide reputation for being some of the most prolific, how do I put it, scumbags.
Enjoyers of young girls.
Yeah. And it's the same wherever they go. And, yeah. Here's another one as well. Chinese man stabs a Japanese woman to death at night in Shibuya in Tokyo. This sort of thing hardly ever happens in Japan. Again, another preventable disaster. And here is another one as well. These are Cambodians, and they were arrested for stealing copper cable from solar power generation facilities in Koshu. And apparently their resident cards had expired, but instead of going back to Cambodia, they stayed and decided to steal copper wire, like our very own homegrown drug addicts in, say, Britain. And they don't need to put up with this. If you have your culturally homogenous country, everything works. If you invite in foreigners, they do stuff like this. They take liberties, they steal, they assault you, they do all of these the things that have just happened. And here we go. Here's another one saying about the man arrested for espionage in Belarus. The act he is accused of, such as taking huge number of photos of infrastructure and collecting rail tickets, sounds like he's a transport otaku, not a spy.
So I didn't realise the Japanese had that as well, because we have train spotters in this country. And I remember a story a few years back of one of them went to Russia and just stood there staring at trains all day. And the Russians arrested him, and when he explained, I just like looking at trains, they thought it was such a palpably absurd explanation that he was therefore obviously a spy. But no, we actually do have people who just like staring at trains all day long. And it seems the Japanese mind has that sort of thing in it as well.
It's almost like the Belarusians and the Russians just can't conceive of being a nerd.
Yes.
And I think that might
They're
be
just
what
like
this
riding
is.
bears and drinking vodka.
But yeah, I think that's the most likely thing. And to someone in Japan, they would think, why are the Westerners doing this to us?
Right.
Like, it's obvious this is what is going on here. And this is not helping, you know, the foreign reputation either. So what is actually being done? Well, they're having to take measures to change the visa system, which, these are new rules to target people overstaying their visas, which is now a problem, which never used to be. They've also automated airport immigration for foreign arrivals to make it easier for larger numbers of people. And it's worth reminding people that Japan is a high-trust society. They don't lock up their bikes. And now they've had to create promotional material to encourage people to lock up their bikes, because it's not enculturated in Japan to do this. And I mean, I never used to lock up my bike where I grew up either. It used to seem ridiculous that someone in my neighbourhood would steal it. And now they're having to do this because their nice functional society is becoming dysfunctional.
Well, I mean, Connor told us his story of how he went to Japan and he left his phone in a cafe in a train station, and then went off for the day, realised he'd left his phone but it was on the train by then, so he just assumed that it was a write-off, got back to the train station he originally departed from, and it was still there in the cafe. After in a major train station, just been left there all day and nobody touched it. Do you want me to try doing that in King's Cross?
Yeah, well, that's London for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, where I grew up, that would be relatively normal. People hand stuff in. I remember being in school and handing in a £10 note. That's just what you do. You be a good person.
Yes.
It's not hard. That's how things work and how, you know, things are better for everyone that way. But it is worth mentioning the Japanese still do send people back, unlike America and Europe. Here's an African saying, I don't want to go back, you can't make me, and they're just ignoring him and making him go anyway. They got like 4 people, got him in a hold there, and they're just like, yeah, we're going to send you back. There's no debate about it. Well, you're going. Yeah. You're not staying here. And he's just like, no. But this is what you've got to do. If they're let into your country, you've got to send them back. It's as simple as that, Japan, and that's what you need to do.
If they force their way in, you force them out.
Exactly. So, international capital has forced this upon Japan, and I think it's evil. They should resist it. And now the Japanese are joining the fight for the survival of their civilization along with Europe and North America.
最後に動画の中でも語られていましたが、犯罪数は1位ベトナム、 中国となっており、この2カ国で約6割を占めています。犯罪率に関してはアフリカ系が群を抜いて高いのも興味深い結果ですね。外国人は共犯率が高く、組織的な犯行が目立つ割合となっています。万引きに関しては日本人の13倍という驚愕の数字です。倫理観や育った国の文化の違いが浮き彫りになる結果ですね。ちなみに犯罪認知率ナンバー1の都道府県はぶっちぎりで大阪でした。そういえば在日中国人の数が佐賀県の人口を超えたようで、私たちにできることは何なのかもっとよく考えろと、ご先祖様からお叱りを受けてもおかしくないですね。
この動画を見てから、初めてじゃないんですけど、毎回、こういう動画や新聞情報とか、受けるとすごく悲しいし、まずはカンボジア人として、カンボジア人は日本でこういう犯罪を起こしたり、いろんな迷惑をかけたりすることに対して、なりとはカンボジア人として謝りたいと思います。本当に申し訳ございません。本当にもう毎回悲しいんですね。毎回というか、私はもともとアナウンサーだし、今現在も労働関係のお仕事もしています。だから普段のカンボジア人よりもこういう情報がいろんなのを入っていますね。国内でも日本からでもインターナショナルでも入っていて、まずは、カンボジア人としてそんな素敵な、国でいろんな、迷惑をかけるというニュースをゲットした途端、すごくもうなんか力抜いて、なんかまたとか、いつそういうニュースがなくなるんだろうとか、そういうのがあって、でそうですね、起きたことは私たちが、謝ることには足りないっていうか分かっていますけど、できること、努力していることは、日本に技能実習生はほとんどですけど、日本に働きに行く前にいろんな日本のマナーとか、一生懸命教えたりしているんですけども、これだけじゃ足りない。いろんな対策を頑張っています。だけどそれでもまだまだ、そしていろんな事情も知っていて、あることは普通に、話できないのもあります。だからもうすべて、外国人がそれで、ただ私カンボジア人として、カンボジア人が日本でいろんな迷惑をかけたことに対して本当に申し訳ございません。私は偉そうに言えないんですけども、入国する前の厳しさを、もっとするというか、犯罪の多い国は、犯罪の多い国ほど、 日本に入国することを厳しくしたりする、そうでない国はウェルカムみたいな、対策をしてほしいんですよね。素敵な日本の国汚れてほしくない。私カンボジア人だけど自分の国もそうだし、だけど日本までは汚れてほしくないという思いですね。日本で迷惑しないカンボジア人もいますので、どうか私たち嫌いにならないように願います。最後まで見てくれてありがとうございます。また新しい動画でお会いしましょう。